Well, hello everybody. Welcome back. Uh, well, I know that we've played the intro for Solutions, but it's actually not Solutions. It's Aquarius Rising Africa. I still haven't managed to sort out the glitch I had, which I will try to do, but hopefully I'll get that sorted in the next few days. So welcome everybody. It's so good to see you all again. And as you can tell, I'm home now. Familiar background. Had a great time in Namibia. It really, really was amazing. Um, Took me a couple of days to settle in, but I think I'm finally in, and it's awesome. And I'm glad to have the beautiful Jessica. How are you, Jessica? So good to have you, the Cryptid
Hey.
Huntress.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here, and it's so good to see you back home. And I know you had a good trip. It looked like it was a lot of fun, a lot of work, but a lot of fun. I could tell by your pictures on Facebook. Okay, so I was a little jealous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that it was definitely. I work there. I've been working there for many moons. So I haven't been back for 5 years. So it was just amazing to see everyone, to back in that amazing desert, to see my friends. That's really where my heart tribe is. And just an amazing time. And I do feel great to be back as well, and great to be doing shows again. So I'll be picking up the regular shows pretty soon. So just watch the space. Hello, everybody. It's so good to see you all in the chats and to see the beautiful. I always want to call them the monitors, but they're not the monitors, right? The ones with the little spanners. Janice and Charmaine. Nice to see you guys here as well, and everybody. Jessica, Lisa, yay! All right. Well, Jessica, maybe you want to just give us a little insight, because I did watch your show, or I caught the last maybe hour or so of it on with Dennis. Well, for me, it was early morning. Yeah, whack-a-mole. For me, it was early morning, and you guys were speaking about some very interesting things, which we're going to be speaking about as well. So over to you, beautiful lady. How are you doing anyway? Before we even carry on, I've been waffling
I'm
on.
good. I actually have been spending a lot of time the past 2 weeks now. I spent most of that time in the woods with two of my teams. I was coming back and forth, over the weekend. I spent time with my. For your audience, if they're not familiar with what I do, I'm actually a cryptid field researcher. I've been a Bigfoot field researcher and that Bigfoot is a Sasquatch. Okay, I've been one of those since 2011 is when I first started getting out into the field. And so I do a lot of boots on the ground field research. And I'm on actually 5 different teams now. I'm going to say four different field research teams. Two or three of them are super active. Actually, one of them is very active. And so I go out with these guys. They're actually based out of Tennessee, and they're called Crypted Warfare Operators. And we get out in the woods quite a bit, and we go do the dangerous stuff. We're really out there hunting dogmen and skinwalkers. And this past time, we went looking for Bigfoots and aliens, actually. And that was that's an area where I'm very familiar with these areas. It's a place where I've actually had a lot of UFO activity, a lot of ET stuff go down. And so the guys came out and we did a weekend up at one of these places. We called it Operation Gray. And so we never talk about it beforehand. Okay, so people don't know where I'm going. We got to keep our locations classified, I guess you could call it,
Yeah.
because we can't afford for anybody to know where we're going to be to go and kind of muddy the waters with our research and stuff. So yeah, spent a while up there. We met the guys and did some off roading and hunting, kind of. I mean, it's really more researching. We're not out there to hurt anything. Okay, we're just
I
out
was,
there
I
to.
was about to say you talk about cryptid hunting, but I know it's not like taking guns and mowing them down. I mean, obviously you have to have protection, I guess, and you've got to have your defenses. You've got to have your defensive weapons and stuff like that. When you say hunting, what do you actually mean? Is it more like sighting? Do you sight them? Do you take photographs of them? And when you say research, do you actually study them? Or is it more like just kind of sneaking a peek and then taking it from there and seeing what you see?
It all depends. It all really depends on what the mission is for each research. Every session that we go into, let's just call them expeditions. Okay, every expedition I go on is a little bit different, but for the most part, we're just out there to observe. Okay, because I already know where they are. I already know where the cryptids are for the most part. We have areas that we usually go into repeatedly over and over again. My teams research several paranormal hotspot hubs all over the southeastern United States. Now, I've gone researching all over the country, okay, all the way up to New York, to out the Southwest. I've been all over the place, but my main areas of focus are in the southeastern United States, mostly the Appalachian Mountains, okay, for the most part. And those are a very old mountain range. I think it's the oldest mountain range in the world, actually. And so I do a lot of research there. We know where the Bigfoots are for the most part. So we just go observe, like I said, try to communicate with them. With one of my teams, we are more on the, remote viewing side of, communication, telepathy, that kind of stuff. We're out there just to observe and to go try to communicate. Excuse me, with cryptid warfare, those guys, we're going out there to not really try to communicate. We're going out there to, well, some of the places we go, we've been called there because there's problematic cryptids, let's just say. And so we're going to go try to help families that are being stalked and harassed. Let's just say, I won't get into detail about all of that, other than the fact that we go to try to kind of deflate the situation, I guess you could say, to go find out what's actually going on their property, and then try to locate where the problem's coming from and all that kind of stuff. So
I'm interested to know that if, for example, you're getting calls from people saying they've got problematic cryptids on the property, would it usually be something that's coming through a portal of sorts? Is there some type of dodgy energy ley line crossing there or something that would make the cryptids appear out of the different dimensions? Or are they actually physically going there? Are these physical cryptids? And while you talk, I'm just going to close my window because it's banging. So I'm just going to remove myself for 1 second.
Okay. Yes. Hopefully my dog won't bark, y'all. I'm sorry about that. Sometimes absolutely they could come through portals. They could. We've had some instances where we have dealt with some portals in the field, but what we're doing mostly, I don't think the ones with the cryptid warfare guys, they could, who's to say? I don't know. They could be coming through portals, but they are definitely 3D, three-dimensional, flesh and bone type of beings, usually for the most part, that are harassing people whose homes we go to. We got a call last year from a lady whose she and her husband were having the issues with what we call the Skinwalker Cave. And so we went out there, but it wasn't just something coming in and out of her cave. She was picking up, she had cameras all around her house. So she was picking up what looked like to be dog men, like a dog man slinking around her property at night, Bigfoots potentially, all sorts of weird stuff, orbs and UFOs shooting past, in the sky and stuff. So lots of strange activity out there. We don't know exactly where it was coming from. We assumed it was coming from the caves. Okay, because a lot of times wherever we do our research, there's a lot of caves in the area. And so a lot of these things do live underground and in the cave systems, I believe. Wow. Maybe not so much portals.
Do you think in the research you've done and the time you've been doing it, and that's a substantial amount of years, I do know that, that there's only been, let's say, going back to when you began, that there was a certain amount of people that could see these things or perceive them? And do you think there's more now, or that they are just becoming more physically visible to us? Do you think they making themselves more visible, or do you think we are seeing beyond the veils more and more, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. I think they've always been here. They've always been here. But people, we were all made to feel like we were crazy if we even talked about Bigfoot. Back then, it wasn't as widely accepted. So I think it does have a lot to do with the collective consciousness. I think that the veil has thinned. I think that there was some kind of blockage where we weren't seeing them. We weren't really interacting with them. And if people did interact with them, they just assumed it was a bear, you know, or some kind of animal in the woods. I mean, there's just a whole lot of different factors. I mean, the world has definitely changed a lot over the past few years, even the past few years. But now we have shows like Finding Bigfoot and Expedition Bigfoot that are on TV. And so it's a lot more popular. People are actually wanting to go out and search for them now. And they are more open to talking about their experiences with people who have them on their property. So it's definitely a combination of things. Yeah. It's definitely a combo.
To me, it's more, you know, I guess the part of the reason for my question is the more it's like we're willing as a species, right? We're willing to see more now. And the more we're willing to see, the more we will see and the more we can see. And as you say, they've always been here, but there've been few that have seen them. You know, so like you'd hear of a sighting here and then everyone's going, oh no, rubbish, rubbish, rubbish. And then everything is divided, right? But I mean, it's amazing because it's, you know, I think also, as you say, you know, we are opening ourselves up to see more now. And that's why I think these cryptid type creatures, whether physical or non-physical, are becoming more visible to us.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, that's true, Dennis, what I'm saying. Sorry, Jessica. Dennis is just saying there, I think the paranormal, because we are giving it more attention. Absolutely. You know, energy goes where attention flows. So interesting.
Yeah, that's the collective consciousness right there. You know, that's right. Where we manifest. And sometimes I wonder, you know, I know that I am really good at manifesting my reality. I always have been, whether that's good or bad. Okay, I can manifest a bad one if I'm in the wrong mood. Okay, so but that's why we're always pumped in the media full of fear mongering and stuff, because there's you know, people benefit from, you know, keeping the masses blind to things and keeping the masses in a low vibrational frequency and living in fear. There's something called loosh that I like to talk about that lower vibrational entities like to thrive off of. And so they do benefit from keeping us all in fear and stuff. And so, you know, what I do can be really scary. You know, I'm out in the woods, I'm chasing monsters that aren't supposed to exist and hunting them down, stalking them and trying to communicate with them. Like, I'm hunting them down. I'm like, wait, no, let's talk, y'all. You know,
yeah, exactly.
And so I'm out there doing stuff that the normal person, I do not recommend the normal person do. Okay, it is dangerous. However, I'm doing it, and then I'm able to come back and I talk to people, and I didn't talk about it for over 10 years. I was private with my research, and now I talk about my experiences, and I do it not to, you know, I don't want to scare people. I want people to know, like, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm alive. I'm okay. Okay, I'm okay. And the things that go bump in the night have a tendency to not be as scary as they're made out to be. Okay, and we can live harmoniously along things beside things like Bigfoot. Okay, and even these dogmen too. I'm still here.
I think, you know, we all have the ability to be companions for each other and not have to be imposing on each other's space and always wanting to kill and hunt and own and control, right? Because that seems to be something that we do. Interesting, yeah, from Duke. In medieval days, more people saw them, and that I agree with, because you're hearing a lot more sort of reports from years gone by. What's your take on that, Jessica? Why do you think people in years gone by actually saw these things more than what people have been seeing them in recent years? Now I'm saying we're waking up, but that's been very, very recent. So what's your take on that?
Because our history has been hidden from us. if you look on old world maps, the old world maps, there were whole communities of the cynocephali, and those are dog-headed men. Okay, not only dog-headed men, we had dragons on maps. We had blimmies, one of my favorites, which blimmies are like human. They're humanoid, a lot of humanoids that weren't really human like us. Okay, and they were kind of missing a neck, and so their face was actually on their torso right here on their chest. They're called blimmies, and we had them. Think of like Humpty Dumpty. That's what I think of when I think of a blimmy. But all sorts of different types of humanoids that we even Bigfoots, Sasquatch, the hairy humans. Okay, they were all very well known of. You know, people traded with these you know, cynocephali. Even was it? I think it was King Arthur. Has a tale of fighting an entire army of dog-headed men in Edinburgh at some point. I mean, if you go back and look in the history books, it is listed. These things are listed in some, but not all the history books. Okay, not all the history books. But what I'm finding today is that it's there. It's just right in front of us. But we've been taught that these are all fairy tales and it's not real, and they're just tall tales. But there's truth in them, and I believe it. I believe that there were dog-headed men roaming around because we have dog-headed men here today. Now, have they been? Were they hunted down, maybe, and eradicated at some point, and some went underground? I think so.
Yeah, even underground. That would make sense to me. Just like a lot of things, right? A lot of things from the past have either been hidden and literally driven underground. And obviously, I think, you know, Earth is a planet that it doesn't just have this dimension. We have many, well, I'd say 9 dimensions, right, that we actually operate within this sphere, so to speak. And, you know, and I think there are many, we've only been subjected and shown that which is here. So that which is physically, obviously tangible to us. So it's been very difficult for people to realize there's more beyond the physical realm. I mean, I know just sometimes in my life, because I've always been able to see beyond the veils, sometimes I would say something to someone about that. For me, it's completely normal. And people would burst into tears. They're so terrified, you know? And it's like, I'm scaring them. I'm like, I'm not scaring you. I'm just seeing what's already there. You know, that's scary, sure. You know, but it's, as you say, you know, it's what we open to seeing. And it's also where we at in our consciousness. I'm always going to say that, you know, and that's, again, you know, that goes in well with the topic, which is the spiritual warfare, because we have to be spiritually aligned and therefore protected. Or we cannot be protected unless we're aligned, fully protected unless we're fully aligned, type thing, you know. So I think it's amazing that when we're looking at these things, we understand that they really, many of them come from the lower realms, right? So it's quite dodgy in there. To go in there spiritually is very dodgy. So we have to know how to protect ourselves from that. Also, just these things entering our realm now, because whether we like it or not, this is the time that this is happening. So we have to prepare ourselves. Have to prepare, right?
We do. Well, and it starts off with protecting yourself spiritually and energetically. And that's something that we are fully aware of. And the gentlemen that I go out with the cryptid warfare operators, those guys are very religious. Okay, they're very religious and very spiritually fit, let's just say. Okay, and so they know that this is a spiritual. We are in a bit of a spiritual war, a spiritual battle right now. And you know, we talk a lot on my channel about spiritual warfare and how we feel as though a lot of people feel as though we're living out revelations right now. Okay, like in a lot of ways. And so it's really cool to have people on the show like Dennis, who's in the chat right now, Hunting the Shadows, who's in here. People who are very familiar, very versed on not only spirituality, the paranormal, but also religion as well. in the history of religion and even Bible verses and stuff. I mean, even demonology. Okay, demonology is a big one because it's all playing out right now. A lot of things are playing out. Now, I don't think that it's the end of the world. I don't. Okay, that's not me. I think that we're just here at the end of one time and we're going into a new one. Okay.
It's the end of the world as we know it, as
Yes.
we've known it. You know, and that I think is what we're saying is where we have to change, because we've given our power away for so long. We've submitted to fear. We've, you know, disconnected our consciousness, you know, and for whatever reason, we've allowed it, we've been part of it. And if we've been here, then there's a reason why we've been here. We've needed to grow through this experience. So for me, there's nothing more amazing than actually growing through these experiences. And as you say, becoming spiritually fit, you have to. And that means you don't give your power away. You understand that you are here to stand up and resurrect your own consciousness and your own way you perceive things, because that changes your frequency. And everything is frequency. There's no some new age jargon. You know, everything is sound, frequency, and vibration. And this war we're fighting right now is a frequency thing. So we have to understand our emotions, our intellect, our physical experiences. And then when we're able to do that, we know how to align with God. And, you know, to get there, we have to align with God as well. And that is your natural. And of course, with that comes a whole lot of things: faith, love, peace, confidence. When you're emitting all of these things can't even touch you. They don't even see you. It's like the lights are too bright. That light is too bright for them. So that's what we aim towards, raising.
Yes. And, you know, I had someone asking me in my chat yesterday, I think it was yesterday, at some point, somebody asked, do we ever get scared going out there? I know they were asking, I think they were asking Dennis, he was on my show. Dennis, do you ever get scared dealing with demons? And, you know, and I ended up, I think I answered. Someone's calling. I was on my phone. Sorry. And I got people calling me. Hey, John, I'm live on a show. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Can y'all hear that? I'm so sorry. My phone just answered a phone call, y'all. I'm so sorry. Okay. John, we're going to have to hang up because I'm live on a show, bud. I can't hear you. Oh my God.
I'm muted.
Okay.
Carry on. You've muted. Oh, Jessica. You mute.
I know. There's a man on the other. I can't hang up my phone. Somehow my phone answered a phone call. There's a man on the other line.
It's all good.
I'm so sorry. This is good. Talk about Mercury retrograde. John, please hang up the phone. Sorry.
Oh, goodness.
Can y'all hear him? Right. Okay.
We're back on track now.
Okay. Well, there's somebody on the other line, so I can hear him talking right now.
Okay,
I'll keep going. Okay, well, there's somebody talking on the other line.
Someone is just saying there's no audio. I want to just make sure that you guys have got audio.
Okay, hold on.
Was that just temporarily?
Hold on one moment. Okay, I'm going to try to get him off of here. Okay, hold on 1 second.
Oh, goodness me. Okay, well, I'm sure we'll be sorting out the audio issues very soon. Oops, Jessica's gone, but she'll be back in a few minutes. I have no doubt about that. Okay, it seems okay, Jojo. We can hear now. You're right about that. She does keep it fun. Anyway, guys. So yeah, we're going to be just checking out the spiritual warfare, which, as we were saying early on, just to keep it going while I'm waiting for her to tune back in. What she was saying very much is, I think, you know, of course, where they go, there must be fear. You know, you've got to be on tenterhooks, and so there's got to be a lot of spiritual faith, prayer, I would imagine, as well, that these guys, especially when they're going on these cryptid outings, would then have to really surround themselves with, right? Because at the end of the day, that's all you have. Anyway, you're right about that, Dennis. No darkness is greater than the light. I mean, I always just say, you know, when you have this, if you go into a dark room and you strike a match, that little bit of light is going to light up that entire place. And then you kind of know what to do anyway. So the light will always outweigh the darkness, that's for sure, or dissolve the darkness, that's for sure. And that's why I think, Dennis, guys like you, I don't know if anyone of the regulars is in the chats here, but when you go out on these missions, you obviously are well protected. And that's really important that you are. And I think that's how you do it. So, yeah, anyway, I'm not sure where Miss Jessica is right now. I'll give her a few more minutes. I hope that she hasn't disappeared forever and for this evening. But if there's anyone that any comment or anything that you guys just want to pop into the chat to keep me company, okay? I'm not a cryptid huntress. I wish I was. Otherwise, I could be sharing cryptid stories as well. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Yeah, she will be back. I know that. So yeah. Why Cypher? What is that? Yeah, she ditched us, I'm sure. I'm sure she ditched us. But anyway, I'm waiting for her. I'll give her a few more minutes and just see where she's at. So in the meantime, if anyone wants to pop anything. Hi, Shanta, can you see me? Yeah. Yes! Sanitarium Radio, I can see you. Yeah, she comes now. The best part of my travels. Oh, wow. Don't get me started. Anyway, she's back. Woo-hoo.
I'm so sorry.
Actually, no problem. I wanted to just actually answer a question as well, Duke, that you've asked. Are there cryptids in South Africa? Of course, there's a whole lot of very ancient stuff that is here. There's a very well-known South African guy called Michael Tellinger. In fact, I've had him on before, and I will have him on again. He does all he wrote the book called The Slave Species of God, and works a lot with the cradle of humankind here in South Africa. I don't know if you guys know that. That's where there's also giant remains and stuff like that. So yeah, we've got a lot of that stuff. Cryptids like you guys have running around there, I can't say, but there's a lot of African witchcraft. So there's a lot of things. And in fact, I want to do a show once on the African witchcraft and some of the things that they have. I mean, the one thing that I grew up with the Xhosa people was the tokolosh. They call it the tokolosh. And that's something that was full on, that the witch doctors would conjure up, right? And it's so they'd have people sleeping, so they'd sleep on bricks for some reason. This thing could not get up on bricks, apparently. And it would enter the ear at night while you're sleeping and then literally drive people insane. So everyone feared the tokolosh. But cryptids, not sure about that. But lots of little funny things like that for sure. Lots of dark magic. Anyway, sorry, Jessica, over to you.
I forgot what we were even talking about. I'll be honest. I'm so sorry. You know, I have to broadcast from my phone sometimes, and people, my phone rings off the hook all the time. And so that just picked up a call. So I apologize, everybody, for that. But yeah, well, I guess we were talking about the spiritual warfare side of all of this. And yeah, so the guys that I go out with, we with cryptid warfare, we go to places that people are generally having issues and problems. Okay. Just like the dog man hunt that we did out in Alabama recently. Those what we thought were dog men. I think they ended up being aggressive Bigfoots, and they had been harassing some of our teammates and their family while they were camping. And then I had stories that I met from other people who had been out there in that same area, same place, had the same thing happen to them. So yeah, that's kind of the stuff that we do. We go out and investigate, let's just say, and figure out what the problem is. Okay, kind of figure out what the problem is. I just want to see a dog man. Okay, I've never seen a dog man before, so that's kind of where we're at with all of this. Is I want to just kind of see it and experience.
Can you kind of communicate with them? Like, and I'm asking you that as an animal communicator, because when you communicate with animals, my experience, right, is when you're surrounding yourself with domestic animals, right, when you're dealing with, it's much easier to connect with them, have some form of community, and language doesn't matter, right? Sometimes you will hear the words, but it's more the vibration that you read, right?
Yeah.
So when you have cats, dogs, or any pets that are around the house, and they generally have a much easier way of communicating. But when it comes to wild animals and stuff, much different story. And it's like pets and stuff as well. It's like more the collective. So when you're connecting or dealing with these animals or these Bigfoots and cryptids, is there, I mean, because I'm sure they have like a really strong ESP. That's how they communicate with each other, right? So if they've got like that human element, there's a very strong ESP. So they must be able to communicate, right?
Yes, there's a lot of projection happens, a lot of telepathy. They can project. Well, you know, we talk about, I talk a lot about, you know, alien abductions and encounters with ETs. I've personally encountered multiple ETs. Okay, in the whole time that I've been doing my Bigfoot research, I started having encounters with what I deem to be extraterrestrials. Okay, that were showing up in the field, in my bedroom, actually, after I started doing the field research, because we were actually having encounters with UFOs and a lot of extraterrestrial activity, let's just say. And so it's very telepathic, and they're able to project screen memories onto you. And I think that's actually the case too with some of these other cryptids, even with Bigfoot and with Dogman. With a lot of the cryptids, I think it's very similar stuff where, you know, people think that Bigfoots can just disappear into thin air. And we've experienced that with our team. They seem to disappear. And so it's like, well, there's several things that could be, a couple things they could be going into a portal. Okay, disappearing into a portal. They could be changing their vibrational frequency to where we can't see them. Of course, it could be called what we call adaptive camouflage as well. It could be a combo of all of those. I mean, there's a lot of things it could be. Now, I've been sent some interesting, I think it's like declassified documents and stuff that talk about how they disappear because we as humans don't have the right amount of rods and cones in our eyes. Okay, and so they can just go right out of our line of vision at some point where we can't see them. So I think that's probably, you know, that's the most academic kind of, you know, explanation. You know, it's like it's something. It's not them. It's us. Okay, it's not them. It's us as humans. We're just not equipped to be able to adapt with whatever they're doing out there. So
they definitely have some high-tech powers. I think you know, so a lot of us might call it magic, but I think it's more because if they're coming from part of that the fallen ones, I mean, they've got some gifts, you know. They might not use them for the most decent thing, but
that's right. Yeah. That's right. Well, speaking of eyes too, so I know the title of the show today is about demonic cryptids, and so that's something that I get asked a lot. Are some of these cryptids, could they be like Bigfoot, Nephilim, and you know, or are they demonic? Because people are experiencing cryptids with red eye shine, red eye glow. It's not shine, it's glow. Okay, and out in the field we do encounter Sasquatch a lot of times. Let's say Sasquatch. Some people do report dogmen too, and even ETs having red glowing eyes. And so I used to always say, no, I don't think they're demonic just because they have red eyes. I don't think that. I think that it's probably because that's just the color of their eyes. Okay, maybe that's just the color they glow. But more and more, I'm getting reports of people claiming they believe that these are demonic. Okay, and the red eye shine means that they are demonic. And I get that a lot. Gosh, I hear that a lot. And so I did a show Saturday night where I had a good friend of mine. His name's Daryl Denton. He runs he's a Bigfoot field researcher, and he's experienced Bigfoot and dogmen and other cryptids as well. He has a Facebook group called Bigfoot Believers and Other Creatures. So if you're people who are listening today want a good Bigfoot group to join on Facebook, go to that and join. And he has a lot of very interesting personal stories with Bigfoot, and where he actually befriended 2 separate groups of Bigfoots starting in the early 1990s. And so and they were nice groups, okay, nice families that they exchanged gifts. He got to know them, they were kind of trickster, they were doing like little, like stealing his minnow buckets when he'd go fishing and stuff. He would leave them things like whistles as gifts sometimes, and he would go back in the woods the next time he would go fishing at this area where he'd fish and they'd be there. He would go up to his fishing spot and he'd hear whistles in the woods where they had taken the whistles that he left, and they were letting him know they were out there by whistling with these little whistles that he had left out there. I mean, stuff that's just fascinating to me, wow. For sure. And eventually, I think that he had befriended some of these on a neighbor's property, or a friend's property. He had gone to the property to go check it out, I guess. And another family, like a clan, we're just going to call them a clan of Bigfoots, followed him home and harassed his house, harassed his home. And I'm talking about he had a bunch of, and this is it's not for the squeamish of the faint of heart. I'm about to, y'all mute it if you don't want to hear this. It's terrible. He had some cats that lived in his barn. And these things were not only hitting his house at night and banging on the sides of the walls of his home. He woke up one morning and all his cats were torn in half. They had unalived all his cats and thrown them in the yard. Got to the point to where the family they didn't feel safe living there. He would stay up at night. He thought they were going to break into his home. He said for 4 months, he'd never hardly slept. Now, he was the mayor of this town where they lived. Okay, he was the mayor. He had the deputies from his police force come and drive through his property at night and during the day too, to go check on things, because they were scared for their lives over these Bigfoots that were harassing them. And he knew they were Bigfoots because he saw them. It all escalated one day where he had a goat thrown at his door. His family was gone. He was up late at night. He said it always occurred from like 2:30 to 3 o'clock every morning was when the apex, the height of the activity would happen. And he said at some point, he said that he was sitting in his house and he saw from the outside 2 large figures walk past the door, and he on his front porch, and he heard a thud. And so he just said at this point he was done. He got his gun, his boom boom stick, and he ran outside, and he was like, well, he thought they were going to break in. He yelled at him. He said, okay, it's either you or me. He was going to face off with them. And they could either hurt him or he was going to hurt them. And he saw a goat. They had taken a headless goat, and thrown it on his front doorstep. And so he said that was kind of the last straw. He had gotten in touch with his friend, Scott Carpenter, who was he's passed away today, but he's a well-known Bigfoot field researcher. He asked Scott what to do, called him up, and Scott had said, cover the corners of your home with, pour salt. He is a very religious man. Okay. And nothing else was working. Let's take the spiritual approach to this. Pray over your home, pray over your property. Pour salt in the corners of your home on in each corner. Go to your property, put salt out there, and call on the name of Jesus Christ. And sure enough, he did that. He did it that night, as a matter of fact. And guess what? They never came back. Never came back. Not one time ever came back. And I thought that was really fascinating. And that's why I brought, I did this show on Saturday. I brought Dennis on yesterday to talk about it with the spiritual aspect of some of these cryptids, like these Bigfoots. Now, I'm not saying that these Bigfoots were demons or demonic. They definitely had bad intentions towards Daryl and his family. But people are oftentimes telling me that when they're having an experience with an extraterrestrial, let's just say, some sort of an alien, an attempted alien abduction, they pray and they call out the name of Jesus Christ. And they say that all the activity just shuts down. Okay, so I just find that fascinating. But it kind of points to the idea that some of these cryptids are demonic, potentially. And it's almost like, and I was asking Dennis yesterday about an exorcism. And if you do have activity at your home, you do have aliens showing up in your bedroom and you want it to stop, could you just have an exorcism in your home and they just go away? And the answer was, yeah, could be. I mean, it's worth a try. But I just, like I said, I find it super fascinating. And even some of these underground bases, okay, the deep underground military bases, I have been told that some people that go down into these bases, they have to sign a waiver. They have to sign some kind of a contract that says they're not going to mention the name of Jesus Christ when they go down there.
What?
Yep. Yes.
No way.
Yep. Yeah, because there's all sorts of strange, like these chimeras, these cryptids. We get a lot of reports of, dogman being seen down there, all sorts of alien human hybrids, aliens, extraterrestrials, cryptoterrestrials, as we like to call them, down in some of these bases, and they don't want for people to say that name. Yeah. Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
The creatures would probably scatter. It's not for their ears, right? They'd probably go scattering and turn on each other or something. Wow.
It's a big no-no. Yeah. Well, it lends credence to a lot of things being demonic, including the ETs. Now, like I said, about a year, even a few months ago, I would have said, no, they're not demons. They're not demons. They're not demonic. And I don't think all of them are. Okay. But I think there could be some. Maybe there are, we talk about clones. We talk about bodies that are being inhabited by dark entities. Maybe that's more along the lines of what this is.
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely go with that. Because the way these guys do things are in such a depraved way that nothing is off limits. Absolutely nothing is off limits for them. Wow.
Yeah.
Sure. Very interesting.
Yeah, a lot of ritualistic things going on. And we talk about, the werewolves versus dogmen. There are a lot of werewolf sightings too. And it looks like dogmen wearing clothes or werewolves wearing clothes and stuff, which would suggest that maybe that was like a human that transformed, while they were wearing clothes. And that's usually through ritualistic practices.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And they do shapeshift. But I think once they have kind of gone that far to do that type of shapeshifting, they don't really go back. They can't go back to being, I think they can go back to taking on their human form, but they can't. It's like that they've kind of reached the point of no return. And yeah, I think, Chicky Blue, what you're saying is super soldiers. And I know we were speaking about that before, Jessica, the viruses and stuff that these guys actually get injected with, and that enables them to do that shape-shifting, where they can do that. It's quite horrific, though. Wow. Because Jessie Zabotow speaks about that as well, about these werewolves in the system. And she spoke about one guy in particular that she was friends with. He was a wolf, and they are the protectors. They're the protectors of the mothers and the priestesses and stuff like that, right? So, yeah, one of her friends was one, and he had incredible problems with his body, the joints and stuff, because that shape-shifting absolutely destroyed all his joints. You can imagine his body must have been shot, and he was in tremendous pain. So yeah, I mean, that's crazy. It's crazy.
I've heard that before. It's really difficult to shapeshift into a werewolf. I have definitely heard that. Also, I've been informed that a lot of the top, well, I don't know if it's still the same today, but at some point, there were some very high positions in our U.S. military where there were Satanists were there in our military, and doing rituals. It makes you wonder, like, what's really going on.
Well, it's, again, if you speak to Jessie, I mean, she will talk about the top guys. I mean, two of her main abusers was the one with the eyebrows that does that.
Yeah.
That's dead, Michael Aquino, and John Brennan. I think John Brennan, if I'm not mistaken, was head of FBI, and Aquino was CIA, if I'm not mistaken. And and Michael Kharkov, who was, gosh, I must get his title again, the Ukrainian ambassador, Hitler's Ukrainian ambassador. And of course, I mean, the top level guys were there doing this, they all, and they have these battles, these protector battles. And her trading partner was the head protector when he was 7 years old. He won, he beat and these all police chiefs and stuff like that are doing this. So yeah.
That's really sad.
Yeah, very interesting what goes on beneath the surfaces of our feet.
Yes, yeah.
But I think
lots of creatures down there.
Yeah, wasn't Bush the older one? He was known as Timber. His nickname was apparently Timber because he was apparently shifting into a wolf. Yeah,
I've heard that. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's all allegedly, from what I was told, but I've heard that a lot. Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Haven't heard a whole lot of good things came out about him. So, yeah, but there's definitely an Aleister Crowley type, angle on some of the secret things that are going on, especially the secret space program here. I bring people on my shows pretty often that have been a part of the secret space program. And it's really interesting because Arkeem, a good friend of mine, he's part of like Project Phoenix and the MK Ultra mind control stuff. He was part of Montauk Project. And I taught him how to assign me blind coordinate remote viewing targets. And so occasionally he will send me targets to look into. And man, those, we've done shows together on it. And he gives me some really interesting stuff. A lot of it has to do with underground facilities, places where they have clones, where they make clones, where they do a lot of mind control, and where they have cryptids underground, where he remembers actually interacting with, and I want to say creatures, but to him, it was just like people kind of down there, like blimmies. Okay, blimmies that I mentioned in the beginning of the show today. Blimmies under Davenport, Iowa. Okay, now, geographically, Iowa is dead center, right in the middle of the United States. Very unassuming, kind of a small town kind of place in the Midwest. Okay, I guess you call that Midwest. It's in the center of the country, actually. But there's a big underground facility there. And I do believe somebody was saying that that's where, I think Arkeem was telling me, they say that's where Hillary Clinton's clone was made down there. That's what he said. But nonetheless, he remembered having some weird stuff go down, including blimmies underneath this underground facility that he had me remote view.
Those are like the Humpty Dumpty like looking people, right?
Yes.
Where their faces are like on their bodies.
On their chest. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no neck. Like from here up is gone. It's like their face is on their chest. But they look like humans otherwise. Yeah.
Wow.
And those are on old world maps. So if you go back and look on old world maps, I think they had blimmies where Europe is and South America and all over the place. So there was like civilizations of blemmies, civilizations of dog-headed men and women, dragons all over the place. I mentioned before on your show that when we were on that dogman hunt in Alabama, we came across a petrified dragon. And I would have never even seen it had the man not been walking out of the woods holding a stone in his hand and said, "Hey, do you guys know about dragons? This is part of a dragon's wing." And he said that he had been going and cleaning off this dragon for a while, and that he wanted to get that piece of its wing tested to see what it was composed of, because he thinks that this is an actual dragon. And sure enough, it looked exactly like a dragon, the whole body of a dragon when we got out there.
How big are we talking? How big is this body? Like
much bigger than a charter bus. It was huge. It took up it made the body actually comprised of a hill. It was like a hill, a large hill. So it was like the land mass was the dragon.
Wow. So huge. Yeah.
It was huge. Yeah, it was huge. I mean, it was big enough to where, I mean, I couldn't take a picture with my camera, with I had my cell phone, and I was taking pictures of it, and I couldn't get the whole thing in the camera shot at all. Like I had to take pictures in increments. But you could see it from the back, you could see it from the front, the tail, the wings, the head, the body. You could see all of it. Yeah. So, I mean, it could also just been the hill, but there are no coincidences, and that man came out of nowhere. This is in an isolated area where there's nobody out there. This man just showed up out of the blue holding a dragon's wing when we got there. What are the odds?
Wow. Coincidence? Do we believe in coincidence?
No.
Not too much, right? Not too much. Wow. That's amazing. I mean, you see, I mean, I always say these are such fantastic times to be alive, because I think rediscovering, I don't believe anything is new. It's like, we all know what we need to know deep within our soul anyway. It's really just a matter of us discovering that and rediscovering that. But it's such an amazing time, now that we're kind of moving from the one age to the other, and all of the stuff that's been hidden, all of this evil, that's been hidden and been the underbelly of the world. I think it's so amazing to be rediscovering the stuff and bringing it to the fore. And yeah, Dennis, much is being revealed. And I think that's so cool. I really do.
Yeah. Well, I'm here for the ride. Okay. And I think it's really cool that we're out there and we're chasing down, all these Bigfoots and stuff, and trying to communicate with them and spending a lot of time out in the field. I also was at the meadow with my team this past week too, which is another one of our big research areas, where we and the team documented the portal and sent our teammates into it. And we had a fella out there named Tony Merkel, who's got a pretty cool podcast called The Confessionals. He and his team came out there. They shot their own little documentary out at our hotspot hub, paranormal hotspot hub. Yeah, and so I was out there.
Are you going to be sharing that with us?
Well, it's not mine to share. They will be sharing it at some point. I was not actually a part of that. I just was there to hang out. So I went to go see them and to go. There's some buddies of mine. I've been on Tony's show a couple of times and been in his studio with him. But they're also from up around Tennessee, where we've done a lot of research, and one of my teams is from around that area too. So we came down and hung out with them, but got to spend, the team was out there for a week with those guys, doing some research. And yes, a Bigfoot was spotted while they were there. And I don't know exactly what all happened at night, the last night they were there, because I didn't get to go out in the field that night. I had to go home and take my son to school the next morning. Okay. Mom life, man.
I had to catch a little glimpse of your son. Wow, what a cutie.
Thank you. Wow. Oh yeah. He's the next generation of Bigfoot hunter.
He's the next generation of girl heartbreaker. That's for sure.
He is. He's got the dimples and everything. He's a little lady.
I saw him for all of 3 seconds, and he just gave me that smile, and all I saw was the dimples. I went, lots and lots of girls are going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I'm definitely holding off on putting him out into the public. I let him. He's actually witnessed his first Bigfoot, so he's out there. I take him out to some of my expeditions that I go on, and he's had plenty of experience. He's had more Bigfoot experience than a lot of people. And so he when the time is right, when he gets a little bit older, he'll probably have his own YouTube channel one day. Okay, I'm getting him prepared. I'm preparing him for it. So.
Oh, of course, he's got
Yeah.
a great mother who can
Well,
show
thank
him.
you.
We can show him the ropes. Well, how cool!
Yeah. He's just too young right now. He's only 10, so he's got a few more years. He'll be out there. He'll be on TikTok or whatever kind of social media thing they got in like 5 years.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I want to tell all the parents with young girls out there, you gotta
Watch
lock
out.
that child away. That's for sure.
Watch out, y'all. Coming one day.
Cool. Wow. So where were we before we got distracted with your young boy? True, chip off the old block then, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, we were just talking. I was going to mention the Meadow project and being out there, and you know, people really have. You mentioned portals earlier, and I'm noticing that more and more people do have a fascination with the portal phenomenon as well. And I think that that's a really hot topic right now. And so, what better place to go to a team that wants to do a little documentary on portals and go spend a whole week out where the portal opened? They're going out to the Meadow, and I think it's just really fascinating. I think a lot of these places where we're having cryptid activity do have a portal there. I think there are portals all over the world. I think they open and close with probably solar flares, and somehow I do believe that cryptids are able to access those portals and come in and out. I think that none of this is new. This is all ancient, very ancient. I think it's just stuff that's been hidden from us. I think that the normal, average, everyday human like ourselves, I think that these things have been hidden from us. I think that our militaries, I think governments around the world, this is my opinion, I think they've always had access to this stuff. And this is just more stuff that's been hidden from us. And that's why I would consider these things to be, you know, hidden history. I think that it's stuff they use it to their advantage, and I think they've been weaponized. I think they've been weaponized against humans. You know, it could be one of the factors into where a lot of these missing people are going. Okay, being grabbed through people opening up a portal and grabbing them and pulling them inside. I mean, it could be. Why not?
It's so true. You know, I mean, it's like God created the world, the universe, the planets, whatever, right? We know that. And it's like energy is energy. You know, we have the ability to use it for the positive or the negative. And it's up to us how we use it, right? Mm-hmm. So we can either manipulate it and use it for its negative, like the Luciferians do, and use it to maim and manipulate and torture and steal and do whatever, because they've really forgotten that they actually do have it within themselves, but they've forgotten that, which is why they've got to steal it from everyone else. And then, of course, you know, there's the opposite side of that, where you work with energy and you work with the alignment and the alignment from God, right? So once you're aligned with that, you magnetize. Then you don't have to chase or steal or whatever. So, you know, it's the same thing with these portals. They are energy portals. So what we do with them is up to us. There's a doorway. It's like going into the door. You turn right, or you know, opening the door, you turn right or you turn left. It's like knowing what's in front of you, and you still make the choice to do something that is not really that constructive. So unfortunately, that is how they operate. It's like they're going to take everything into its negative polarity. They're going to steal what God has naturally created and turn it into something very nasty and very depraved. But that's always people who are so insecure. They are so lost within themselves. They so don't have a sense that they belong to God, that they're constantly searching outside of themselves for whatever it is. And, you know, then they'll use it for those purposes. And that's really what we need to bring the balance in again for. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Well, I think that things are looking up right now. And I think just being able to talk about these things freely, you know, and even though we do have to use keywords, and I see Maureen's in here saying for entertainment purposes only, the girl in her gong. Thank you, Maureen. Because I have to say that a lot on my channel because, you know, we do have a lot of censorship here online and especially, you know, on certain platforms, there's some censorship going on. And,
yeah,
and so
just a little bit, just
a little bit.
Tiny bit.
Just a little bit. But however, we're saying, you know, we are cleverly able to get around it. Okay. And to an extent. And so we're able to talk about our things that we experience. And it's by saying things like for entertainment purposes only. Okay. But because exactly. I think that it's important that we do discuss these things and get it out there and know that everybody, you're not alone. We're all having these weird experiences with, you know, if you see a Bigfoot on the side of the road or whatever, you can come to places like my channel and it's almost like a support group there. And we're learning that things that aren't supposed to exist really do exist. And I think that things, like I said, things are really turning out to be, I think we've got a bright future ahead of us. 100%. I mean, even, you know, I like to talk about the old world's fairs and the advancement of society back in the day compared to like how we've gone back to the dark ages. It feels like right now compared to the advancements in technology that we had. Even, you know, some say there was a mud flood and stuff and everything got kind of washed away and torn down, like free energy and stuff like that. I don't know. I think that there's a bright light at the end of the tunnel. Our president-elect here, Mr. Trump, had said, former President Trump, current, he's coming into office again. He's been talking about bringing back the old world's fairs here in the United States. He actually said that publicly. And so I think that that was a place where they used to show the advancement, okay, all the advancements in technology and stuff. They used to showcase that at these world's fairs back in the day, up until the early, like 1903 or 1904. I don't know when the last one was, but I mean, these were fantastic events. Of course, the history books will have us think that all those buildings were built to be destroyed. They're made of paper mache. I don't believe that. Okay, but
of course.
But stuff like that, we're going to be seeing a lot of that. I know there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that the public is unaware of, but I see nothing but good things in the future as far as disclosure goes too.
No, I so agree. I so agree with you. I think we're very much on the path to, I mean, third dimension is all about free will and choice, even though we don't believe we have a free will and choice very often. But, you know, prior to coming and being in our physical body, we have that free will and choice. We have that sacred contract with God to be who we are and doing what we're doing, right? So we must never forget that. And now we're actually moving. We have that choice to be of service to self or of service to others, you know, and that's really where we're at. So we're making that choice. And I think there are definitely going to be those that choose to go into service to self, which is 4D negative type thing. But those of us who are going, you know, we're just walking each other home, having fun while we're doing it. So thank you, Jessica. It's always amazing chatting to you about your incredible adventures. So thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to everybody in the chat. I don't know, Jess, is there anything you want to say before we call it a day?
Yeah, well, I thank you so much for having me again. It's always fun hanging out and getting to talk about all these adventures, even the remote viewing stuff that I've been doing and all that. It's a beautiful day. Nobody, y'all, please don't live in fear. You know, just live your best life and imagine your highest timeline, because that's where we're headed right now. I just feel it. I can feel it in my bones. Yeah, I know. Yeah, a lot of good things ahead of us. So, yeah. You know, stay safe out there. I want everybody to please stay safe. Keep your head on a swivel. We are living in strange times, but we have to go through all these, you know, the birthing pains, I guess, to something beautiful. And so it's straight ahead. It's coming.
I fully agree. And
Yeah.
again, thank you so much, Jessica. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's always so cool to have you guys in the chats. And I will see you guys tomorrow. We've got double show with Jessie Zabotar. So I'll see you guys there. One of the shows will be on Aquarius and the other one will be on Solutions. And I think I have Leo Zagami on Friday night again. And I can't remember who else, but I'll let you all know. And in the meantime, thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you, everybody. Take care of yourselves and God bless you all. See you soon.
Bye.